friends, and welcome back to another one of my Majora's Mask project videos. Majora's Mask project videos, whatever I call it. We are now up to the 7th mask, and thanks to you guys and a bunch of comments, I feel like this is one of the more requested ones. The 7th mask is the bunny hood. I'm really excited to make this one. This is another one of the masks that overlap in both Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time is my favorite Zelda game, so I do love a lot of the masks from Ocarina of Time as well. And yeah, I've had some ideas on how I'm going to tackle this. It's very different from the other masks considering it's not actually a mask. It's actually called the bunny hood, but also it's not really a hood. It's more like a headband. So I had to come up with a way that I could create the bunny hood, make it story accurate, but also make it wearable. And the idea that I basically had was to buy a cheap headband from Amazon or another store. I ended up finding one on Amazon for about 13 Australian dollars and basically build up from that. I am using the normal things: foam, clay, foil, hot glue, masking tape if needed, that sort of stuff, and then completely painting everything. I think with the foam clay, I'm going to layer it a few times because there are details such as the eyes and the ears that I kind of want to shape and make them protrude a little bit more, but I guess we will just kind of see how it goes when I get started on it. I've also just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who is following along with these videos. I am getting a lot of hype for them on other socials like TikTok and Instagram, and now in YouTube Shorts as well. So I'm just excited that people are excited to follow along with this project too, considering it's something I wanted to do for a long time, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, and something that I'm also learning to hone my artistic skills with too. Anyway, I don't know if I have much else to say. I'm excited to get started on the bunny hood, so I will let you guys get to the mask making.
As I said, I started with my headband that I got quite cheap from Amazon, and I grabbed my foil. I struggled a little bit at first, but the idea was to just fold the foil over the headband to try and make it a lot wider on one side. I still wanted to add more width to the back end though, so I just tried to shape it almost like a bonnet. I placed my initial piece of foil in the middle of it and then extended the sides to connect with the ends of the headband. This is what it looked like. I tried it on a couple of times in between just to make sure it was the size that I wanted. I didn't want it to cover my complete whole top of the head. I wanted my fringe to poke out the front like Link's does, but still have plenty of room for the ears and eyes when I attach them. Once I was happy, I got started on the ears. I basically rolled them down into an ear shape to try and get the length that I wanted immediately, and then went over with a few more layers of foil just to elongate it and make them a little bit curved or add some details like the thickness of the ears. To make the second one, I basically grabbed my new lot of foil, put it up against the first one, but the back of the first one, so it was slightly curved but in the other direction. I did also place them on top of the headband a few times just to see if the length was correct before I got my hot glue gun and started gluing them down. I let the hot glue dry and then I went around with more hot glue because I knew from my Huntress mask that adding ears like this can be quite heavy when the foam clay is put on top, and it needs to be stuck down as much as possible. Once I was happy with the shape of the foil, I started to completely cover it in foam clay. I did the base of the headband first because I wanted to make sure that I had enough foam clay. At this point, I was running out of my 500 gram bag, so I did order a lot more, but I had to wait to receive it the next day. And when the base was done, I started to cover the ears. But my worst fears became real as I covered the ears. They got very heavy with the foam clay and started to droop a lot. You can see me going between both ears because as I was working on the other one, the first one kept leaning forward or backwards just because of the weight of it. My priority was to make sure that I had enough foam clay, so I wasn't too worried about the ears falling down at this point. Also because I knew when I got more foam clay, I would do another layer over the whole thing. So I put it down on my desk on top of things to dry. And this is how I found it the next day. Once it was completely dry, everything was in place. You can see at the bottom of the ears here where the foam clay started to shift and the ears fell over a few times. But I was starting to be happy with the size of it and how it looked when I put it on. There wasn't much else to do while I waited for my foam clay to arrive, and when it did, I was genuinely surprised at the size of it.
I was expecting plastic inside of this, but this is just full of foam clay. I just hope it doesn't dry out.
As soon as that hit my doorstep, I started to put more foam clay onto the hood. I put some around the base of the ears to try and make sure that it didn't shift when I added more later to the top of the ears. In hindsight, I probably should have let that dry a lot more because it didn't really work. But I also added foam clay under the headband because I didn't want just plain foil hitting the top of my head every time I wore it. It was also to completely seal the hood as well, and I was happy to have it all covered. Once those parts were completely covered with foam clay, I took it outside to dry. It was a hot weekday morning, so in a couple of hours, the foam clay underneath and around the ears had dried. And I was quite happy with how the new foam clay was sealing. It was now time to add more detail to the ears, and again, they were the part that I was most scared about. The extra weight on the ears did make it hard, and they did move out of place. So a couple of times I literally had to keep putting foam clay around the base of it, and even at one stage tried to put masking tape around it to hold it in place, which didn't really work. I did one ear at a time throughout the day, and thankfully by the next day they were done and dry, and I didn't have to worry too much about it. This is also what they look like up close, a little bit bumpy, but hey, I'm not that perfect at making things. There was only a few more things to do, including recovering the whole base of the hood in foam clay. I wanted it to be slightly thicker and was hoping more foam clay on the base would also counter the weight of the ears. Then the next day after that was all dry. There was a lot of waiting with this mask. I was super happy at this point, everything was coming together, and there were only a few more changes that I wanted to make. I realized the hood was a little bit uneven on one side, so I got some scissors and I chopped off the edge just to try and even it out a little bit. And then I grabbed a pencil and started to draw on where I wanted the eyes. I then grabbed a little bit of foam clay to fill in the gap that I had made with the scissors, which didn't take too long, and thankfully because it was only a little bit of foam clay, it didn't take too long to dry either, but I left it overnight to be sure. I then rolled up some balls for the eyes and pressed them onto the top of the hood. Because there is also a little glare for the eyes, I got some little balls of foam clay and added them to the top. I really liked how it looked super cartoony, because that's the vibe we were going for. And once that was all dry, it was time to paint. I grabbed some white paint to put on the glare of the eyes. There's not really a use for the white paint other than to seal the foam clay. Then I grabbed some black and I started to fill in the eyes itself. Because they were little buttons, I did have to be careful and go down around the edges, but I don't think I did too badly. The next thing that I did was mix up 2 shades of a light pink. One was slightly more peachy. I was going off the 2 very different but kind of similar references for the bunny hood. One where the inside of the ears was yellow and one where it was more pink. So I kind of wanted to mix it together and did a gradient of the 2 colors instead. I did go over the edges a little bit because I wasn't sure how far in I wanted to paint the yellow, but I was really happy with how it was turning out and I really liked how the gradient looked. I then grabbed some yellow paint and I started to cover everything else. It took me a while and I started with the base, completely covering that before realizing I had nowhere to hold it to work on the ears. But I made do, I just kind of got paint on my hands. It was also at this point that I was looking at the color of the paint and thinking that maybe it was slightly too bright. I know yellow can be bright anyway, and the bunny hood is quite vibrant in game itself, but when you look at the pictures of Link wearing the bunny hood, it looks more of a lighter canary yellow rather than a vibrant fluorescent yellow. It was okay though, this was just the first coat of paint and I do at least 3 coats of paint, so I just wanted to make sure that when I did the next few coats, it would be lighter. And I was right. This is what it looked like dry with the first coat of paint, and it just looked slightly too... It almost looks dark, but bright. I mixed up my yellow paint with some white and also a little bit of gold just to make it slightly more orange tinged. And after a few coats of paint, this is what it looked like, and I was much happier with the coloring here. I was actually genuinely pleased when I was recording this, but it wasn't over. The last thing that I needed to do was just paint the inside of the hood. I wanted it to all be cohesive and also look as close to the references as possible. I then left it for a few hours to dry, and this is what it looked like. Or well, this is me wearing it. And it was basically done at this stage. Please do let me know if you like how it turned out. Feel free to subscribe if you want to follow the project, and let me know in the comments which mask you want to see next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next video. Bye bye!